welcome to one of the most beautiful museums of Pakistan, I can say. It is the Peshawar Museum, where we are, not so far from the old city. And it has the biggest Gandhara and even the biggest Buddhist collection of the whole world. So come, I will show you. And I will meet you, Dr. Abdul Samad. He's the director of the museum, and he has done so many work to renovate, to reinstate all these Buddhist stupas, statues through whole Pakistan. But come on.
Peshawar Museum is unique in many ways. Like the building itself is a monument. It was a ballroom as our dance club at that time. It remained the first provincial assembly as well. Back in 1906, it was converted into the modern museum. And the most important is the world's biggest museum of Gandhara art in terms of quantity and quality. One of the best pieces of Gandhara art you will find in the world is in Peshawar Museum. And we have 30,000 objects in this museum. Unfortunately, only thousands are on display, while other are in the reserve collection. So we are in the process to have another provincial museum somewhere in Peshawar. So this museum will be only dedicated to Gandhara art. Buddhist art was not just art, it was used for propagation purposes, just like for propagation of Buddhism at that time. So that's why it was used for multiple activities, purposes. This was a schist stone basically from Swat and Mardan. It was very soft one, it was easy to carve. These are, we call it Jataka story, which mean the pre-birth stories. There are different legends associated with Buddha, like before his birth, he was in 550 different forms. Like there is one Sayama Jataka, he was a shepherd at that time in previous life, and he was doing some good things. So these are different stories associated before his birth. He was not born at that time, but somehow he was there. The actual story is starting from here. Like the mother was not pregnant naturally. She was sleeping and white elephant is entering her right womb. She got pregnant. Then again his birth was not natural. You can see here the mother is standing and the boy is emerging from the right womb, directly emerging, and two guards are receiving him. This is a palace scene. As I was telling you, he was a prince basically. So the wife is sleeping at the back, and one night he realized that I'm spending a royal life, enjoying the luxury, and people are suffering outside the palace. So he left the palace with the horse and one servant. This is the first sermon. Like when he got enlightenment, he was sitting under the Bodhi tree, and some of his famous followers, they were with him at first sermon. So these are the first sermon scenes. Miracle of Sravasti, we call it. So he is emerging from lotus flower. You must be knowing about the lotus, which is very much sacred in Buddhism. I was telling you earlier Pushkalavati, about Pushkalavati Charsada. The ancient name of Charsada is Pushkalavati, which means the city of lotus flower. This is another scene related to his life story when he was doing meditation. At that time he became Buddha. By the way, you can see the art. This is one stone and it was carved with only one chisel. So you can see at the bottom there is a script called Harushti script, and the language was Sanskrit Gandhari at that time. And after his cremation, his ashes were distributed into different parts of empire at that time, Ashokan Empire. So these are innate bowls. And after his death, like 200 years after his death, his ashes were redistributed in 84,000 stupas. So some of these 84,000 stupas we have in KP as well. At that time, making of face sculpture, it was not allowed. And later, after 200 years, they have introduced Mahayana type of Buddhism, which you have seen already. So all these objects are from Mahayana type of Buddhism. So this is the origin place of Mahayana Buddhism. Peshawar name was inscribed for the first time on this relic casket almost 1800 years ago. It says Kanishkapura.
This peace bell at Peshawar Museum is a gift from Thai Buddhist monks. The chief Buddhist monk from Thailand traveled to Pakistan to ring the peace bell, conveying the message of peace and tolerance that spread out from this land so many centuries ago.
We believe Peshawar remained the cradle of civilizations, like it was a crossroad. Still it is a crossroad. If you see the Peshawar, it is a transitional phase between Central Asia and South Asia. So, yeah, it is a 2,500 years old living city. It's a still living city. And before 9/11, it was the center of cultural activities. And unfortunately, after 9/11, things went into turmoil. And now Lahore became the center of cultural activities. In fact,
it was always Peshawar who was the cultural city.
Yeah, actual Peshawar was a center of cultural activity pre 9/11, and we received chartered aeroplanes from Europe and from America. And people used to come to Peshawar Museum and to the Wall City, all these places, and you will see foreigners everywhere. So we want to revive Peshawar.
You want to go back to this period, that the tourists are coming, the foreigners are coming?
Yes, to revive the ancient glory of Peshawar. So we are doing different activities.
Well, ma'am, why do you think people should come and visit Peshawar Museum?
I think we all know Buddha. We know the story of Buddha. And if I tell you that this museum in Peshawar, not so far from the Afghan border, has the biggest Buddhist collection of the world. Do I have to tell you more? Do I have to give you more arguments to get you here in the museum?
Absolutely, I'll come running anytime.